Whoa, it's happening.
Oh my God.
Ladies and gents.
It's everywhere.
Whoa, oh my God. Kentucky Fried Roadkill.
Oh my God.
It's everywhere. It burns.
The driver is crying so hard. I am your loudmouth lutefisk, Treyton Blackburn.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I am your stinky Socrates, Evan Pride.
Wow, powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Well, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing well on this fine April 1st.
Yeah, it is the 1st of April.
Yes.
A beautiful, cold day here in Kentucky.
Cold.
Yeah.
God, it's that time of Kentucky where it's like it'll be over
Second winter.
over 80 degrees one day, and then it snowed earlier today.
Yeah. It's supposed to snow more.
Great.
Yeah.
Don't you love it? Don't you? It's like I hear that in New York,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the seasons are very definite because it's always cold up there,
Yeah.
or it's like more northern. So there's like the first day of spring in New York is like the first day of spring.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't get cold after that.
Yeah.
But in this valley here, it just fluctuates.
Yeah, and the wind is biting in Lexington.
Yes.
It's like just a fucking wind tunnel living in this city.
Especially if you are on the campus of UK, or I guess walking through any concrete section.
Yeah, because
it's like Chicago. It's just
whips around those buildings.
Yeah. Why is it so windy here?
I don't know. Because in the mountains, like a strong gust of wind is rare in my hometown.
Really, it's
Yes.
not. Is it very humid in the
Yes,
mountains?
it's very, very humid, especially in the summer.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's
And like you're praying for a breeze that never comes.
okay, but a lot of shade.
The sun sets earlier because it goes behind the mountain.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you kind of grow up in more darkness, I guess.
yeah. I grew up in twilight darkness most of the time.
Yeah.
Days felt short, even if they weren't.
Louisville was always very humid because I always figured I was just told we're in the Ohio Valley. We're like right in there. So I guess if you're by a river, humidity, I guess that just makes sense. But something about like Kentucky is very humid.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'll tell you, I've lived in Louisville, I've lived in Lexington, and I've lived in Pike County. And the humidity in Lexington and Louisville is not comparable to the humidity in Pike County.
No, I'd imagine.
It is like it's like living in the Amazon. It's
Are there swamps?
Not swamps, but there are a lot of sort of like lowlands that end up with water in them.
Okay. Do you guys get cicadas?
Mm-hmm.
And oh my god, dude.
Yep. Cicadas.
Fucking here's something to talk about. The cicadas are coming at this summer.
Mm-hmm. The cicadas are it's like a band.
They go underground for 17 years.
Yep.
And then they come out and they're gonna have a fucking culture shock when they get here. Kobe just entered the NBA when they went underground.
Yeah, they're gonna be so confused.
Yeah,
they haven't.
Not just entered the NBA.
They're gonna come back and they're gonna be like, "What happened to Kobe?"
Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, they're gonna.
But
the guy who hosted Celebrity Apprentice was president? No,
no.
Wait,
Celebrity Apprentice isn't on the air anymore?
What?
No, what? That's my favorite show. Yeah. They're fucking.
Was he good? Oh, bad, huh?
Ooh, that sucks to hear.
Yeah.
No, because I always hear cicadas every summer.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, I guess that's just the South, or I saw like a map of where cicadas live. It's like they miss pockets of the South for some reason. They're like all over North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, all over that area, but none in South Carolina.
Yeah,
I think specifically. So they go in weird areas, but they are loud as hell.
Yes, they are.
I
vaguely remember the first year I experienced cicadas.
I remember. Well, you experienced them. I guess they're so loud that they're just chirping from underground, and we just hear them during the summers.
But it's different the year they're out.
The year they're out, which it's the year that. I remember when we were little kids, they leave shells all over the place. They shed.
They sure do, and you got to collect them.
These little scales. And me and my brother, we didn't know what they were when we were younger. We thought they were aliens that were invading us. So we got like baseball bats, and we went out and fucking mafia'd them.
Wow. It was
Yeah.
very.
Very, very. We were children.
Yeah, sure.
We were very young the last time they came out.
I was
17
8.
years ago.
I was 8 when
You
they
were
last came
8?
out.
So I guess I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah. I remember my grandfather showed me the shells and explained cicadas to me. And I always thought, because like at that time, like I was old enough to be like entering that cryptid phase where I was super into like Bigfoot and Mothman and stuff, and I was like,
and bugs.
Yeah, I was like, these are little Mothman babies, is what these are.
What were the phases you went through when you were a kid? Like
The
everybody has a dinosaurs phase
Right.
and like a medieval phase.
Yeah. I never went through a medieval phase.
But I mean, I guess there's different types of phases. There's shit that you're really into.
Yeah.
And then like how you carry yourself. Like
Yeah.
like how you carry yourself. I was a different person like every other year
Oh, really?
as a little kid. I was a rocker, like a little Jack Black for most of my childhood. I went through a hippie phase one year, like peace, love, and happiness, man. Tie-dye shirts, long hair. Just deep into gamer culture, just total gamer boy for a couple years. I had one leather jacket year when I was like, luckily I was like 8.
Yeah.
So I was pretty young.
Young enough that it's like not too embarrassing.
Young enough where it's like, okay, his parents bought him a leather jacket.
Yeah.
And he just likes it. But
I never really redefined myself. I've
you
always kind
were
of
just always little Treyton stick bug boy.
Yeah, I've always kind of carried myself the same way. But like I was very defined by my interests, you know, like dinosaur phase, Power Ranger phase.
Okay.
Spider-Man phase.
WWE phase?
No WWE phase.
Wow.
Passed over. A lot
Passed
of my
over.
friends. A lot of my friends. But
WWE with the WWE, you're either into it for one summer or your whole life.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Or not at all.
One of my best friends is in his 40s and is still
Very much
into the WWE.
I have no problem with it if you're like yeah, man, it's fun. You go to it's a big sporting event, there's drama and all this shit and it's characters and all this.
Yeah, you get
and
it's essentially theater.
It's
essentially combat theater.
Yeah, it's combat theater pretty much. And
you go watch The Undertaker have eyeliner. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and but the people who believe in all the different things.
Right.
Like they believe that the Undertaker was dead.
Yeah.
Which it has to break their mind because the Undertaker, he's retired now.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
You came back from the dead, and you're like, I'm gonna retire.
You're retire. Wait a minute, your name's like Joseph now?
Yeah.
I forget the guy's real name.
Have you? I bet this wasn't an experience you had in Louisville, but in Pike County. Oh, you know what this would qualify as? We haven't done one in a while.
Ooh.
This is an Appalachian anecdote. So in Appalachia, we had people who would start their own. I'm going to wait for you to swallow a drink of water.
Yeah.
They would start their own wrestling circuits and all these.
Yeah, like backyard wrestling.
Yeah, but
that's where Kimbo Slice came from.
Yeah, backyard wrestling. And it would be like gospel singing at 5:30, wrestling at 6.
Oh, wow. So they did there's like a South Park episode about that. They started their own like little WWE.
Yeah, that's a real thing that happened.
Would they actually fight or would they get into characters and stuff?
They all had like little characters.
And they would like plan out like, okay,
this is the story arc that we're getting.
Yeah, you're going to win this one.
Yeah.
And well, WWE is great. I feel like you could teach a class about just story structure and characters and foils and villains and all these things. Just
gotta have a heel turn.
Yeah. You gotta have a bad guy, and WWE knows that. And dude, in the 80s, their bad guys, they didn't want any discrepancy from real life and the stage. So like the Iron Sheik and who all was I wasn't big. I wasn't alive in the 80s, so I was barely alive in the 90s. So I don't know. Was it? I mean, I know Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and all those guys. I don't know if they were bad guys though. Macho Man, I think.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad guy.
Yeah,
I know Iron Sheik was a bad guy because of racism, and the old WWE was very racist.
Yeah. And very sexist as well.
Yeah, they're coming around.
Well,
there's the AWE now.
Vince McMahon is still probably one of the most evil people to ever walk the earth, but
so hilarious though.
Yeah,
just oh my god, there's some cringy ass clips on the internet.
Oh yeah,
Vince McMahon.
But anyway, when I was in my years in community theater,
yes,
I worked with a backyard wrestler.
Did you have a wrestling persona?
I did not. No,
okay.
But I knew a man. We'll call him TJ. TJ, yeah. So I did theater with this guy named TJ, and he was super duper into like wrestling and his wrestling persona and like.
What was his wrestling persona?
So when you were in the dressing room, you had to hear the stories of like when he used to be a wrestler, and he had a bunch of different characters, but his favorite one to talk about was he was TJ the DJ.
TJ the DJ.
TJ the DJ, and his story arc was that he was a bad guy in this backyard wrestling circle at like the local Y or whatever. At the YMCA.
Was he just like a really bad DJ?
No,
he just put on songs nobody.
He was
Rick roll people.
Yeah, he was a DJ, wannabe actor from California, and like this dude had like the most Appalachian accent you've ever heard. It was like, "Hey there, my name's TJ.
Moved
TJ
out to the big city to make it big."
Yeah, well, but he didn't play that he was like an Appalachian who had gone to California to try to make it big. He acted like he was a Californian like transplant into Appalachia.
Oh yeah.
And he would come out and he would like insult the audience. He'd be like, "I came down here to wrestle for all these hillbillies.
All you rednecks with your straw hats."
Yeah.
They're like, "Dude, you sound just like us."
Dude, you're wearing a straw hat right now.
Yeah. They're like, that. The fact that your costume of straw hat and overalls with a tie, with a denim tie, you're not fooling anyone.
That's right.
What do you think? You're big city?
Yeah.
That's your idea of a big city?
And one thing that he liked to do in the dressing rooms is if you were just sort of hanging out in the dressing room waiting for your scene, he was like, let me show you one of the moves we used to do in backyard wrestling. And then he would just do wrestling moves on you.
Yeah, but none of them were stage combat safe or whatever.
Like
we've taken stage combat.
We
like
have
unarmed hand-to-hand stuff. There's all these techniques. There's all these, it's all about illusion. It's like, and safety is like the number one thing. And I'm sure he just folding chaired someone.
Well, and he would put on his wrestling persona, and he would like pick up chairs in the dressing room and like fake swing them at you and like stop at a distance. He would go and like. You know that
like a lion tamer.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and you know that energy when you're backstage and you're like just waiting for your scene.
Oh, during the show.
Yeah.
not even like before a show.
And when somebody's coming at you with that energy, I did shows with like people from 6 years old to 65 years old. And like he's doing this and like everybody is just sort of staring, trying to figure out.
Trying to remember their lines.
Yeah, like, dude, would you please like take it down like a few notches? And like he was like into a bunch of 80s pop culture. Like he was super into Married with Children, and he like would always do like
Was he older?
He was in his like 30s, 40s, yeah.
Okay, so he's probably what, a kid in the 80s, teenager in the 80s.
Yeah. So like he would always do this Al Bundy impression, and he would talk about like how Al Bundy was the greatest character ever written.
I do like Al Bundy.
But the greatest character ever written?
No. I must be honest, I've seen clips of Married with Children, but I don't think I've ever seen a full episode.
And he would do the Al Bundy impression. He'd be like, "I hate my wife." And like, like when somebody is like really trying to be funny with you, and like you're not really in a sort of communal space where you can't not laugh, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't just dead eye.
Right.
Dude, chill.
He was super into Hades from Hercules, like the villain of Hercules, Hades. And what's the name of the actor who plays Hades?
James Woods.
Yeah, he's super into James Woods. He said James Woods is the greatest actor to ever work.
That's a red flag.
Right? He would always do like Homer Simpson impressions, and like with all the like boys.
That's my Homer impression.
That's with all the boys in the theater, he would do like the Bart choking, like, "Why you little?"
So he would just choke kids.
yeah, essentially.
They're like, we don't get the bit.
I don't watch The Simpsons. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I think I saw this in Family Guy once.
And he would like he wasn't a bad dude. I genuinely have a lot of love for him, but like
no,
he was like
just eccentric. It sounds.
he was an eccentric grown-up dork.
Yeah.
Who now pastors a church. Yeah.
Oh, so he was very much like he sounds like the pastor from Hand of God. Or no, that's more of a different type of
eccentric.
Dork.
Yeah. Different type of dorky pastor. Like this guy, he's just super into like the media he was into.
Yeah. Some people are like that. They just get stuck in the decade that they grew up in.
Yeah.
I heard a thing. One of my professors told me this in a film class at UK once, and this guy, I mean, talk about snobby.
Oh yeah,
he seemed like a cool guy. He just was very much a film nerd, and film nerds are just the worst.
They are. They very much are.
Yeah, because like they're like, no, your favorite movie is not your favorite movie, and it's a bad movie, and here are all the reasons. For shit that I know about that you can't debate. Like you're like I don't know shit about mise en scene and all these shit. I know a little bit.
I just like the scene where Roger Rabbit and and the detective are handcuffed together. I like that scene. That's very funny.
I just like Jessica Rabbit's titties.
What
can I say?
What can I say?
Favorite movie of
all time.
No, but he was super. It was a film class that. Half the time he only talked about Black Sabbath, and he just kept he just would just every lecture he went on would divulge into a rant about how Black Sabbath was and just metal in general is the greatest music genre.
Interesting.
And why just rap is terrible, even though he made us watch.
That sounds a little racially coded.
Not as much. He went into all that stuff. He was he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy, and like he backed up all the points. It was just very snooty.
Sure.
And I don't dislike the guy. I just remember being in his class. Like he would just. I guess he pissed me off on a personal level when he went on this whole tirade about how Black Sabbath was so much better than Led Zeppelin,
and that's what set you off,
dude. I'm just irrational. I like to think I'm a pretty rational person about most things, but I am irrational when it comes to Led Zeppelin for some reason. They're my favorite band.
Interesting.
And if you go back in time, I think they're the greatest band to ever play, and like the energy they create. Again, wasn't alive in the 70s. So don't know, but just. They were just gods of rock. I mean, I'm looking at a poster that I have of them in my wall of Robert Plant and his big dick. Yeah, he's known for his big dick. I mean, that seems weird. That's the first thing I brought up, but it's very much visible in the poster. He's leaning up against
an impressive dick.
Jimmy Page, known heroin addict and Satanist, who is. Probably could definitely be canceled today if they ever just went back in time and looked up stuff.
Yeah.
But, I guess they haven't gotten them. So, so I don't know. And John Bonham, just fucking greatest drummer to ever live, I think.
Wow. You got a lot of love for Led Zeppelin.
Big Led Zeppelin fan. And all of his, I should say that I love Black Sabbath. I'm a big metalhead. This like when I said when I was a little kid I was just a rocker, little mini Jack Black. I meant it. I was just. I guess I was just. My dad was born in 1970, so he just grew up in the 80s hair metal era, and so he was just a rock, a metalhead, and he just transferred his music over to me. And I just got obsessed with. I was one of those kids when I was younger who was like, I was born in the wrong generation, man. Should have been born in 1967. That would have been the time. Oh yeah, could have seen all these things. No, I was totally that kid.
See, that's interesting because my parents were born around that time period a little later.
Yeah.
But my parents also grew up in that period, but instead of being like into the 80s sort of hair metal scene, they were really into like the 80s country music scene, like, you know, like Conway Twitty and Dolly Parton, all, you know, like, because country was pretty big in the 80s
well,
too.
and it's not even a rural versus Louisville thing, because my parents are from Western Kentucky. They're country kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My mom was probably more into stuff like that. But she's not a big music person, I don't think.
I'm not a big music person either.
Yeah.
I am actually notoriously known for not being a big music person.
You're not, which is interesting. You're so visually based.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm a very visual person.
My mom is one of those people who she has like 15 songs on her phone, and they're all like the Glee cover of very famous songs.
No, hey.
Don't stop
We love
believing.
We love it. We defend your mom. Listen. Hey,
No, yeah. She's great.
Your mom listening to this, I'm behind you. I'm behind you. This is acceptable.
She will eventually listen to this. Mom, you have not much of a taste of music.
Exemplary music taste.
I don't know. She likes used to listen in the car. Oh my god, Lily Allen. Oh my god, you ever listen to Lily Allen?
Lily Allen.
She was like this British pop singer in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You've heard That's Why When You See Me Smile.
Oh, yes.
It makes
Yeah.
me cry. She has a whole bunch of good songs on that album.
Here's
I remember
the thing
to that.
about me. It's not that I don't like music. Like, I'm listening to music probably about 60% of the day.
Yeah.
But like the music that I like, there is no one on earth who's going to relate to me.
What are your favorite bands? Let's talk about music.
Let's talk about music.
Let's talk about music.
I really like
baby.
CCR, Creedence Clearwater.
They're great.
Revival. Yeah, love that band.
Yeah.
I really like the Bare Naked Ladies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like the Bare Naked Ladies. They're not very I get made fun of by my friends when I say that I like the Bare Naked Ladies. But I think they're very interesting. I mean, they're not like I think they're like a funny band,
Yeah,
and it's like a funny, weird alternative.
Yeah.
Like I can relate to that. Like They Might Be Giants is one of my favorite bands, and they're just someone called them factual music. I think that's how they describe themselves. They're just factual music and just weird. Like they did children's music for a little bit, but they also have. I mean, Istanbul was Constantinople was Istanbul. It's just weird shit like that. Like I don't know what. Like I love Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
They would never write a song Istanbul was Constantinople.
Right.
Although maybe they would. They were very much into folk and Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I find it interesting what different musicians write about.
Yeah,
like,
I do too.
I think it's really cool that Led Zeppelin was into Tolkien. So like a lot of that shit's in their lyrics. Just as much I'm looking around my room, fucking
Nirvana.
Yeah, I don't know. The Beatles were into drugs. my room is a pretty good estimate. I got Beatles, Led Zeppelin,
And Nirvana,
Hendrix, Nirvana. Nirvana's weird because you can't really figure out what those lyrics are about. But back to you. You like Creedence Clearwater. You like Bare Naked Ladies.
I don't really have a band, but I like a lot of ska music.
Yeah, ska's fun.
Ska's fun.
It's like reggae. Reggae's I like reggae a lot, but I really only know Bob Marley and the Wailers, and then Snoop Dogg has a reggae album that's pretty fun. But aside from that, reggae it's like I don't know. It's like jazz to me.
Yeah,
yeah.
I really like Jim Croce.
Ooh,
like Jim Croce a lot.
Don't mess around with Jim.
Yeah, I like. There's quite a bit of bluegrass that I like. I really like.
I bet you.
Ralph Stanley's my favorite. I really like Ralph Stanley's voice.
Oh, I was thinking of Paul Stanley from Kiss. I was like Kiss.
He did a bluegrass album.
Dude, Kiss is one of the most. I mean, it's a cold take by now, but they're one of the worst bands ever. I mean, their music is just so. It was like written by the government. It sounds like it's so manufactured.
Yeah,
and I know like rock and roll all night. That's fun, and Detroit Rock City's all right. But that band, That band's a good example of like just pure spectacle, pure manipulated spectacle. They're like K-pop.
I get that.
In the 70s, like just industry created them. We know what the people want.
Yeah.
They want these guys in high-heeled boots with long snake tongues and face painted.
Yeah.
And singing about the devil and shit.
And like there are some popular artists I like. Like I really like Billie Eilish. I think she's a genius and an artist. If she ever hears this, I think you're brilliant. Billie's great.
Yeah.
I love Gaga. I think if you don't love Gaga, you're a fascist. I think if you don't love Lady Gaga, there's something wrong with you.
I like Lady Gaga.
Gaga's great.
I was big into her. I mean, her albums like when she was wearing all the weird like meat dresses and shit. That's when she
to this day, Judas is still my favorite Lady Gaga song.
I don't know that one.
I'm just a holy fool, baby. It's so cruel, so I'm still in love with you, baby.
Yeah, I never really listened to like stuff like that. Like when I was a little kid, everything on the radio I considered horrible.
Oh
and looking back, there's shit that's just bangers. Like it's just because it's nostalgic and childhood or whatever.
Yeah,
like any Kesha song, it's not good. But it's fun. Put on TikTok,
sure,
and everybody has a good time. But I don't know, Lady Gaga. I like Lady Gaga. I think she's extremely talented.
Yes,
one of the best Super Bowl
halftime shows,
or maybe not. No, not Super Bowl halftime. One of the best national anthems of all time. Her, Whitney Houston, and who's the chick? Popular.
Kristen Chenoweth.
Yeah, those are my top 3 of national anthems of all time, off the top of my head. But yeah, Lady Gaga.
There's some like international artists I really like too. Daddy Freyr, he's an Icelandic artist that I really really love.
Yeah.
Daddy Freyr's really great.
My favorite bands right now. It's so hard to. It's so easy to go back in time and look at all the great bands from history and be like, okay, I can't think of anything to listen to. I want to discover some new music. I could go out and try to find some small artists and like maybe this person's good, or I could try to listen to more David Bowie. I haven't listened to enough David Bowie.
I haven't listened to enough Bowie. Yeah,
that's my. I just go. I'm more. It's more safe for me to go back in time into shit that I know people have talked about, good stuff. And I feel like that's how I discover music. Like I'll just get into Pearl Jam out of nowhere.
I like fun music. I like music that's got bounce.
I bet you would like one of my favorite bands is a band called the Proclaimers.
I love the Proclaimers.
They're so fucking good. I mean, their most popular songs are their worst songs, in my opinion. And I would walk 500 miles.
But even that's a really fun song.
It's a fun song, but like, you listen to the album that's on. Oh my god, everything, they're fun and they're Scottish.
Yeah, I believe so.
And I don't know, it's fun. It's weird because the Beatles never sang with the British accent, really.
No, not really.
Scottish people
sing
with the British accent or Scottish accent.
I really like synthy music too. I like synth a lot.
So do you like 80s music? So if you had to pick a decade for music,
a decade?
Yeah, mine would always be the 70s or the 90s.
For me, it's probably the 70s, like late 70s. I think
70s is hard to beat.
70s. I think 70s may be like the greatest sort of time for music, period. I think that the 1970s is... I think we're living in a pretty good time for music right now, actually.
Well, you know what it is because the 60s were also a great time for music. It's just tumultuous times create good music.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And
like look at Noah Cyrus. I think Noah Cyrus is brilliant too.
I don't know who that is.
It's Miley Cyrus's little sister.
Oh.
Her music is profoundly mournful and sad, and like all these young artists like Noah Cyrus and Billy.
Oh, maybe I think I did listen to one of those because I think Miley Cyrus was on Joe Rogan one time and she was talking about that. And yeah, I went and listened to it, and yeah, it's a different type of It's different from Miley.
Yeah, it's she's very mournful.
Which I like Miley too. I think she's very talented
I think
too.
so as well. I prefer Noah musically. But with Noah Cyrus and Billy, and have you ever listened to Poppy?
Poppy Cyrus?
No, just Poppy.
Oh, just no.
Poppy is Poppy. She was working with this director, called what was his name? Something Sinclair. Upton Sinclair? No.
George Sinclair?
Louis Sinclair? No, it was his artist name. Anyway,
I hear Sinclair.
she worked with this director who essentially wanted to critique being a pop star by creating a pop star, and they had this huge falling out, and she remained famous as he fell into obscurity, and she's redefined herself as a much darker artist from.
Interesting.
She's fascinating, but I think because these are artists who they're probably all younger than me. I think that they're either very close to my age or younger than me, and the sort of sad, nihilistic music that's coming out of this next generation
it's
of musical
very
artists.
nihilistic. It's very nihilistic.
Listen to anything Billy has done.
Well, I was gonna say the Lil Nas X video.
Yeah,
that's I mean,
which is great, by the way. If you're a person who has a problem with the Lil Nas X video, please stop listening to the podcast. I don't want you here.
It's funny. It's
great.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting because there's two ways to look at this. One, Lil Nas X. One, Christians, who even cares when Christians get offended anymore, right?
Yeah, well,
right?
and it's not, because I consider myself a Christian, and I'm not offended.
I was raised Catholic, and I'm definitely in that world.
Sure.
And I definitely have family members who listen to this who might be like, what? But I mean Christianity, it's cool.
It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah. I'll give it a C rating, a passing grade. That okay.
I'm a Protestant. I'll give Christianity a B plus.
Okay.
B plus is my grade for the religion I partake in. But
moving past this.
But here's the thing.
So it's on one hand it's who cares, but on the other hand I think it's interesting because a lot of Lil Nas X's fans it's a heavily kid fan base. Just with that song Old Town Road, that was the new Happy by Bruno Mars for a little bit. Or is that by Bruno Mars?
I think it's by Pharrell Williams.
That was by Pharrell, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the song for a little bit. So I don't know.
But here's the thing.
It's interesting.
And this is a question I have for you. I don't know. Do you think that an artist has a responsibility to cater to the audience?
No.
Okay.
No. Yes. Yeah. I was just bringing up that because that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Because he's a very, very popular artist. But I mean, if you're going where I think you're going,
yeah.
I totally agree with you. I don't think that I mean, Charles Barkley said I'm not a role model. I'm here to play basketball.
Yeah.
And and I'm here to be the best or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the athlete mindset. And I don't know. It's a weird thing because I don't think that artists should be held to their audience's expectations. Nor should they be considered role model. If you take on a role model persona like The Rock or Kevin Hart or someone, then you have that responsibility,
right?
But if you're making popular music and whatever, and you're just vibing and you're a chaotic person and you're all over the place, I mean, you never asked to be a role model.
Well, and let me ask you this, because I don't want to impose this on people, but it's hard for me not to, because I've seen the Lil Nas X video, and frankly, I didn't see anything super super disturbing or you know.
I didn't either. Essentially he grabs a pole dances down to hell from heaven and then twerks on Satan.
Yeah.
And see, we're so desensitized to it. I literally couldn't give two shits.
But our desensitization says something about, because did you ever watch the Powerpuff Girls?
Our society has been desensitized as a whole. Yeah, I love the Powerpuff Girls.
So you remember him, who is Satan. You remember thigh-high boots, crab claws.
Crab claw, yeah.
Yeah. like, where was the outrage with that satanic imagery? Where was the outrage whenever Saddam Hussein and Satan were sleeping together on South Park? Like, I feel like a lot of this rage is manufactured.
Oh no! It for sure is. I also think there was probably definitely some rage when Saddam Hussein and Satan fucked each other.
But certainly not at this scale. I mean, this is a little ridiculous.
But also, I think like the scale that it is now is nothing. Like I think that's just outrage culture. I mean, people call it cancel culture or whatever it is.
Sure.
It's internet outrage that seems bigger than it is.
Yeah.
I think what's the statistic that every Joe Rogan asshole knows? It's like 20%. I don't even know it. I guess I'm an asshole. It's like only a certain amount of percentage of people are on Twitter. Like Twitter is where a lot of shit gets popping off and trending and all this stuff. So only like, what is it? It's like only 20-something% of people are on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or only a certain amount of percent. Statistics really lose their power when you don't know the statistics. But
yeah, that's right.
But only a certain percentage of people are on Twitter, and only like 3% of all Twitter tweets are tweeted by like 3% of the people.
Sure.
I presented that horribly, but it's bigger than it seems, is what I'm saying.
But the thing is, like, while that may be true, I think that like
people are still mad at it. People are still offended.
Well, yeah, and like just because
my water.
People aren't on Twitter doesn't mean they're not seeing what's on Twitter. Like, Twitter is something that goes beyond its own boundaries now, and I think that to say that like, well, only a certain amount of people are on Twitter, I think that's kind of reductive to the sort of clout and visibility that Twitter outrage gets now.
Yeah, well, it's because Twitter outrage becomes real outrage.
Mm-hmm.
Because Twitter and social media in general, I guess Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, of our generation, we say Twitter, but if we were 5 years older, we'd say Facebook.
Yeah.
And
if we were, 5 years younger, we would say Instagram.
Yeah. Well, Instagram's a little different because it's just pictures and shit.
It is.
And it's not as built to have a dialogue.
Sure.
And neither is Twitter.
Well, what Instagram is built for is that influencer culture, right? Like that is that sort of projection of who people want to present to the world.
Yeah, Instagram. If you want to feel bad about yourself, go on Instagram, and if you want to feel bad about humanity, go on Twitter.
And if you want to just feel bad, go on Facebook.
Yeah.
Those are the three.
Dude, I took I remember when this pandemic started,
mm-hmm.
I took Twitter off my phone.
Yeah.
I deleted Instagram. I just deleted all my socials off my phone.
Yeah.
Not completely or whatever.
Sure.
I didn't delete the accounts. But I just put it on my laptop, and it changed my mindset so much. Just cuz I would just naturally go to look at my phone when I was doing nothing.
Yeah.
And like I work at I shouldn't say where I work, but where I work, I have a lot of downtime,
mm-hmm.
and so it's easy to get on your phone or just in life, and especially in a pandemic.
Yeah,
there was so much downtime.
Yeah,
and I found the more you spend on social media, the more isolated your thoughts seem.
Well,
you just like all your brain powers bouncing around in your head, and I don't know. It's maddening. Well, and it's not reality.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, I tried both Twitter and Instagram in high school and just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was about it that I couldn't get into, but like I have a Facebook and I really only use it to advertise my shows, and that's kind of my social media existence.
Yeah, you don't exist on social media.
No.
Which I respect. I am so jealous of all my friends that just never really got into social media.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing with me is like it's not active for me. I'm just not it just doesn't engage me at all.
No. Well, it's engaging, but in the same way that like crack's engaging. Like like it's engaging for the wrong reasons. Well, it's a bad good feeling.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like I think one of the reasons I couldn't get into it is like even on Facebook, like I don't know. I'm not really interested in posting anything. Like there's nothing. I feel like if you at some level, if you feel the draw to post something on social media, you have a sense of self-worth that says to you, people need to hear what I have to say.
See,
while there is nothing wrong with that mentality or mindset, I don't have that.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's why I didn't. But I think I agree with that in that I was like, because when you think about it, like people always say like Twitter is just people in a room shouting like, I had this today. I think racism's bad. Tacos sure are good. Or,
I'm a Nazi.
I'm a Nazi. You shouldn't be a Nazi.
Well, I am one.
Yeah, that's pretty much Twitter. And I don't know. But also it's the culture now. It's like it's the zeitgeist. It's you know.
I've gotten a few square looks for not having social media.
Yeah. It's weird that you don't.
Yeah.
In the whatever. I guess especially being your age. If you were 40 years older, it'd be a different story. Yeah, social media is weird, man. And then Snapchat. Oh my God, Snapchat is just it just turned into texting with like faces.
Yeah.
It's face texting pretty much.
And ways to send nude images without the consequence.
well, they always had screenshots.
Yeah, but like I haven't used Snapchat since probably like 2012 or something. Like it's been a very long time since I've had Snapchat.
Well, 2012, that was like Snapchat in 2012 was just like the nudes app.
Yeah.
And then it grew beyond that, really.
Well,
I got it in 2014 probably.
Yeah.
And by the time I had it, it was starting to become like they had added stories and stuff.
Yeah.
So
surely they've got to have
streaks. And I remember my dad saw Snapchat on my phone. He's like, "Isn't this the app where it just immediately deletes after like 10 seconds?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's like we like text each other, like face texting
stuff that we can't say."
Yeah,
he's like,
"Well, why the fuck does it delete?"
Because, man,
I was like,
you don't want people to see what you're saying on there.
He's like, is it deleting illicit things? I was like,
Yes!
I don't know. Probably that's what it was meant for.
Yes,
Dad,
yes!
I'm not taking dick pics though. I'm 14. Yeah.
Jason, yes, it was deleting illicit things. That's what it's for. That's what it's.
It was certainly what it was intended for.
Well, and here's the thing, like,
and certainly what it's been used for, but it's grown beyond that.
It seems as though,
but all the social media has grown beyond what it's been intended for. Twitter turned into a completely different thing in 2016.
Yeah.
Facebook has changed so dramatically since 2000.
Changed the world.
Yeah. Social media changed the world.
And look at and shit that is so weird. Like the power that look at HBO Max releasing the Snyder Cut, right? Like that is a direct result of the Twitter outrage machine, of like the just continuous hashtag release the Snyder Cut, that whole sort of vibe.
Dude, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yeah.
The internet just completely trashed the design of Sonic,
and they fixed that.
And and rightfully so. And they fixed it.
But the visual artists should get paid for that, by the way. I don't know if they've received proper compensation. It was a huge debacle.
I didn't keep up with that story.
Yeah.
I just know that they I just know it's pretty funny because they had the movie done essentially, and then Twitter was like, "This sucks."
I've heard the movie's good. I've not seen it.
They had to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to go back and redesign Sonic for the whole movie, and then they released it and nobody saw it.
I've heard it's good though. I have heard good things.
I like Jim Carrey as
Robotnik, or Egghead,
Egghead, Mr. Egghead.
No, Dr. Eggman.
Dr. Eggnick.
Eggman.
What's Robotnik?
Robotnik is his Japanese name.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dr. Ivo Robotnik.
I thought his name was like Robotnik Eggman. Interesting.
No.
Anyways, I thought Jim Carrey was an interesting casting for him because
Look-
he's supposed to be a big round man.
Yeah.
He's supposed to look like an egg.
It's a little odd, but I'm sure he has fun.
Oh, I'm sure. Jim
I'm sure he
Carrey
has
is
a blast.
Great. Is Jim Carrey not good in anything?
The Mask is amazing. The
Oh
Mask
wow.
is very good. I like the Mask.
The Mask. The
Yeah,
Mask.
The
Okay.
Mask.
I was thinking of the Son of the Mask.
No, that movie's not good.
I saw the Son of the Mask first.
Whoa.
And because I wasn't allowed to see the Mask.
What? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Actually,
It's a little raunchier.
It is pretty raunchy. Yeah.
What were your what were you allowed to do and see when you were younger? Like were you not allowed to see R-rated movies until a certain point, or like
I can't really remember my parents policing my media too much. I pretty much got to watch whatever I wanted, and like they really didn't have to worry about like I've told that one story on air about when I saw Austin Powers as a kid and got in trouble. But other than that, like it was more like reactionary, right? Like what are you watching? Like there wasn't like an existing rule set of things I couldn't watch.
Okay, interesting. I remember I wasn't allowed to play M-rated video games.
Yeah.
Where you killed people for a while.
Interesting.
So I like probably until like the first one that I played, that Call of Duty 5 World at War.
Yeah.
So 2009 or whenever that came out. That was the first one I played. And yeah, just before that, they're like, you can kill aliens, but like we know you won't kill aliens later in the future. Like you can desensitize. Yeah, if aliens come later in the future, we want you to know how to kill them.
I didn't really play a game like a first-person shooter game that like you killed people until Call of Duty Black Ops. Whenever that game came out,
so good.
that was the first.
I wasn't a big fan of
FPS.
Black Ops when it first came out, and then it grew on me over the years.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it. I've never, but like that's not really my genre. Like my parents didn't really have to worry about like the games I wanted to play.
Oh yeah, because
I wanted to play Pokemon.
Yeah, you're a Nintendo guy.
Yeah.
I was much more first person shooter guy.
Yeah.
But then after that I wasn't. It was kind of free. I remember I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies.
Yeah, my parents should have been much more worried about what I was reading. That's what they should have been worried about. Because like, I remember
just manifestos and
I read Lord of the Flies at like 13, 14. And like, there's a scene in Lord of the Flies where they're all like running through the jungle, and it talks about their little dicks being hard. And I'm like, should I be reading this?
I remember I read The Shining. When I was like,
The Shining is the only book to ever make me almost throw up.
Really?
Yeah, it's the scene where Jack breaks Danny's arm at the beginning. It's like a flashback scene talking about his arm when he grabbed him.
Oh yeah.
And just the way that Stephen King describes that act of violence, like it made my stomach churn. I was like, I'm gonna get sick reading this book.
I never finished a Stephen King book. Like I don't think I finished The Shining.
Really?
I made it most of the way through it, but then it just lost me in the end.
I read The Shining on a plane.
But I just remember it being having some sexual shit in it that I have that I couldn't believe was in a book.
You still haven't like compressed all the sexual stuff in The Shining.
No. Well, it's a lot dirtier. The movie's completely different than the book.
It is, but that's like because of Kubrick.
But I've heard that there's some crazy shit in Stephen King books. I think the book Tommyknockers.
The Tommyknockers, yeah.
Have you read that?
I've not, but I've also heard.
I've heard like half of it.
I know a lot of very big Stephen King fans.
I just, as a little kid, someone told me that like half of the Tommyknockers is about like a vibrator or like a dildo or something, and I was like, what? That's crazy. How do you write that much?
You know what? You just reminded me. This is only tangentially related, but the first comic book I ever read that I can remember was a graphic novel adaptation of 3 Goosebumps books.
Oh.
I remember that vividly. And it was Werewolf of Fever Swamp, the Abominable Snowman of Pasadena, I think is the title of it, and I can't remember the second one because it was the one I liked the least. But that's the first graphic novel I can ever remember reading.
I used to read some. I would grab random like Incredible Hulk comics and stuff. I remember I grabbed this one like joke comic.
Yeah.
And it had nudity in it, and I didn't realize until I got home, and my mom found it.
No!
And she was like, "What the fuck is this?
What is this?"
And she pulled me aside, and it was like this little kid like fucking a bee, and
what the fuck?
And like his dick was the stinger. And then in like the next page, it was like the same kid, and he was playing baseball, except his dick was just the bat.
Dude, where did you get this comic book?
The Louisville Free Public Library. Yeah.
What kind of book is this?
I just remember I opened it up, and whatever page I opened it up, I thought the comic was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I may have seen some cartoon titties. Which may have prompted me getting it, but no, the comics I read. I told you I read Simpsons comics. Those were my favorite. Yeah. When I was a little kid, I read. There was this one book about 3 ninja pigs, and it was like the best book ever written, and I can't remember anything about it, but it was really cool. There's another comic that I read. No. Where are the? You're not gonna be able to help me on this.
Probably not.
I'm lost. No, it wasn't a superhero. It was like a fucked up comic.
It was a fucked up comic book.
It wasn't. It may have been RoboCop. But it was like a knockoff of that called like Cyborg Cop or something. And it was just I remember we were on a field trip in my summer camp when we were going to this water park, and the kid I was sitting next to was reading this like RoboCop thing, and it was the most bloody, gruesome, gory shit I've ever seen in my life. And
there's some gruesome comics.
Yeah. Well, are you an anime man at all?
I dabble. I wouldn't call myself an anime fan. I don't watch a ton. I have watched. I have partaken. But I like, I'm not watching My Hero Academia or Death Note. I'm watching, if there's an episode like of the 90s, and early 2000s Yu-Gi-Oh anime on, I'm there. I'm there.
Or like One Piece.
Yeah, I've always wanted to watch One Piece, but there are like 600 or 700 episodes.
That's the thing that sucks about anime. I remember I started watching Dragon Ball because I've never seen an episode of Dragon Ball Z.
I've also never seen an episode of Dragon Ball Z.
And I remember I started watching Dragon Ball because I was like, oh yeah, when I was early high school, I was the most into anime I've been, and I tried to watch Dragon Ball. I was like, I'm gonna get all caught up, and I shit you not, like at episode like 50, like 3 things have happened in the story. Like that was the thing that pissed me off the most about is a fight in Dragon Ball. Like if they're walking down the street and they bump into someone, that's 4 episodes right there. I shit you not. They'll come back to that same fight and they're still standing in the same alleyway. You're like, Kabuki, are you okay? It's
Kabuki.
Just yeah. I watched some of that. I was a big fan of Naruto.
I could not stand even the art style of Naruto.
Oh,
I did not like it.
Yeah, well, it's a bit cartoony. I liked.
See, what I didn't like about it is I thought it was too realistic.
Oh,
That's
really?
why I didn't like Naruto.
Oh,
that's why I liked the One Piece art style so much. Is how toony it is.
Yeah, and you like Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh was very cartoony, very big head. Yeah. I guess looking back, Yu-Gi-Oh was pretty realistic. It was kind of
Yu-Gi-Oh had kind of like a 90s sort of grunge feel to it. Like Yu-Gi was always in that fucking uniform with all those chains and shit and that black tank top.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the reason I brought up anime, just gruesomeness, is because there's some fucked up animes.
Oh,
like some of the most. Is my mic working?
Yeah,
check,
I can
check.
hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
I thought it zipped out there for a second.
It did.
Some of the most gruesome scenes in just anything are in animes. And it just remember seeing a bunch of. There's just little clips I've seen on Twitter of like a guy crushing another guy's head and all this shit.
Akira.
But I watched this show called Attack on Titan when I was younger.
I've seen 2 or 3 episodes of Attack on Titan.
That's all you need to see, dude. It is brutal. It is fucked
Brilliant
up.
Concept, though.
It's so good.
Brilliant.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I've seen like the first season and a half or so. But that's cool about anime is anime. I'm definitely not an anime guy. It's just like if I'm sitting down and I'm watching, and also if I want to watch anime, it's just if you watch it dubbed, it's just you're just losing something. I feel like you have to watch. I have to watch it with the subtitles with the original voice actors.
You're a purist.
I don't know. I feel like the people who are giving the English dubs are not. It's not lining up with the lip syncs, which throws me off.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They're just
now and like
also anime is. Every conversation in anime, within 3 seconds, they're screaming at the top of their lungs, which just isn't English. You just have to hear that in Japanese.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that I would like to delineate is like anime film or like just Japanese animated film, like even stuff that you wouldn't really traditionally consider anime.
Like
I really like I love
like Miyazaki.
Everything Miyazaki.
Miyazaki's great.
My favorite is not a Miyazaki movie. It is The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is still produced by Studio Ghibli, but it's a different director. And they do it. It's very like done in the style of like Japanese ink painting. The Tale of Princess Kaguya is a beautiful movie. If anybody's looking for a recommendation,
Miyazaki, or it may not be Miyazaki. He may have not directed it, or he may have. Studio Ghibli, their newest film. It's like this redheaded girl, and she wants to be a rock band or whatever. Casey Musgraves voices someone.
Interesting.
And it's Emily's a big Casey Musgraves fan.
Oh, yeah.
So we put it on, and we just couldn't watch it. The animation was so shitty.
Really?
It looked like Coco Melon.
Interesting.
It was just that you see like weird little videos online of that weird new style of animation that you know what I mean by Coco Melon.
Yeah.
It's very polished and it's I don't know, it looks like a bad video game.
Yeah.
It just didn't look good. And
well,
I was like I can't watch that. I can't even remotely follow the story. I'm just thinking of Coco Melon while I'm watching this. This looks horrible.
Well, and like, and what I've always loved about Miyazaki's work is the sort of
it's the pacing.
But visually, like the plainness of his worlds. Like, look at Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service. Her design is so iconic, but it's such a simple design. Like blue dress, red bow. That's it.
Yeah, My Neighbor Totoro is the same way.
That's great. Spirited Away is beautiful.
Ponyo,
yeah. Another banger after banger after banger.
I gotta be honest, the only movie that I've seen fully is The Wind Rises.
The Wind Rises is
I saw
a fantastic movie.
I saw it in theaters. It was like the one about planes, right? Yeah,
I watched that
a good one.
at the UK midnight movie thing. What was it called?
I don't know. I never went to those.
I went. Hey, it was actually pretty neat.
I know. That's what everybody said.
I really liked it.
That's what everybody said. I just. It seemed so cheesy in my mind.
It was fun.
It was like the main UK building that you see on the postcards. That I've been in once. What's the name of that? Graduation Hall or something?
I can't remember what it's called.
Something Hall.
I've been there.
Memorial Hall.
Maybe that's
something.
That feels right. Better.
Feels right.
Yeah. Anyway,
UK Hall.
I saw it there, and I was walking home with my roommate, and I was like, "That is one of the best movies I've ever seen." Gosh, that was good.
Favorite foreign film.
Favorite foreign film.
First one that comes to mind for me is Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. I've never seen it, but I've heard amazing things.
You should watch Battle Royale.
I've heard amazing things.
It is great.
Favorite foreign film. Gosh, that's actually kind of tough for me.
I'm just trying to think of foreign films I've seen.
I've seen a few, which is why it's difficult.
I haven't seen too many. I know I haven't seen Das Boot, but I've heard that's good. It's German, I think.
gosh.
I've stumped you.
Probably Parasite.
I still haven't seen
It's
that.
probably Parasite by Bong Joon-ho.
I need to watch that.
It's very good.
Have you seen? I think it was made by the same guy who made Parasite. It was, what was it called? Train to Busan.
Yeah, I think Bong Joon-ho directed that. Yeah.
I think he did. It's like zombies.
Yeah, he did. He did Snowpiercer too. Did you know that?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's a genius.
Another movie that's been in my queue list.
Snowpiercer.
What's the movie that you've been meaning to watch for the longest and you just haven't gotten around to?
This is gonna be embarrassing.
Because mine might be Parasite. I've been meaning to watch.
That's been on my list forever that I have not seen. Gosh, there are a lot of them. It's The Godfather. The Godfather is my movie that I have to watch that I haven't. That I keep putting off.
You've seen Goodfellas though, right?
No.
You watched Goodfellas before The Godfather.
Okay.
It's more of a watchable, enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
And The Godfather's probably a better movie, like movie wise, but I don't know. But the movie. Okay, these are movies that I like. People tell me that I have to watch that I don't really have any interest in watching. We'll go.
But the movie that I want to watch that's on my list that I haven't watched is Silence by Martin Scorsese.
Oh,
I want to watch Silence so bad.
I saw it in theaters, and it's like an hour longer than it needs to be. It's a good movie. I've heard it's retching to watch. It's pretty retching. Although there's just some very lulls. Silence is a good name for it.
Yeah.
The acting is amazing. And Liam Neeson and Adam Driver are fucking amazing.
I'm sure.
And the cinematography is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was
Scorsese's hard to beat.
Scorsese's hard to beat. It's just a long, kind of boring movie. I saw it in theaters.
I really want to see Silence and another Scorsese movie that I really want to see. It's on my list.
I haven't seen Mean Streets.
I've also never seen Mean Streets.
Yeah.
But I've read this book. I read this book my senior year of college, and I loved it. And it's The Last Temptation of Christ, which I very much want to see that movie.
It's so the Scorsese movies that you want to see are the two that like everybody's like, oh, you can skip those, but you gotta watch Goodfellas. You gotta watch all these other ones.
I'm just not into the mob movie. There's nothing about it that speaks to me on any level.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not interested in any crime movie, frankly.
Really? Not even Tower Heist starring Eddie Murphy? I don't know why.
No, not really.
That popped in my head, and I remember I saw that Tower Heist whenever that came out, like 7 or 8 years ago, and we just saw it just on a whim, just because like some shitty tower comedy heist movie.
There are two crime movies.
Eddie Murphy is the funniest, one of his funniest fucking roles.
Yeah.
Most underrated role is in Tower Heist. Anyways,
the two crime movies that I've seen that I really, really love is Reservoir Dogs.
That's a good one.
And Baby Driver.
They call me Baby Driver's barely no that's a crime movie.
Yeah, it's a crime movie.
Who that's Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, yeah. I hate Pulp Fiction.
Interesting.
I think it's a snoozer. I think there's like no character in Pulp Fiction do I like get engaged in. Like you're not with them long enough.
I've heard that criticism before.
I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I'm just saying it's not for me. No,
yeah, it's a different type of movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah. Yeah. Well, I think do you have anything else?
Well, I'm a proud man.
Yes.
Man,
you told me you have to.
And I do want to admit to the people listening to this podcast.
And I think it is your turn to close out this episode.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead and let Treyton close this out. He had something he told me earlier that he wants to share with the audience.
Yeah.
So this is Evan Pride checking out. Thank you for listening, Treyton.
So, one of my roommates from college, after all the good reviews, convinced me to take the Saturday and sit down and watch Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max. And I've got to admit, though I have my gripes with his filmography and his political
fascist views,
and his fascist political views, I gotta say, I was really quite impressed with what he was able to do with like complete artistic control over the Justice League film. I mean, like he does like add depth. And April Fools, motherfuckers! The Snyder Cut blows. It's the worst. He's a fascist, and it's anti-communist propaganda. Red Blackburn signing out, baby. Fuck off. Woohoo!